He is undoubtedly the most powerful species in the universe, capable of shattering a 10,000-meter mountain with a mere punch. The Earth itself cannot withstand his strength, and his speed surpasses the speed of light. Facing an onslaught of hundreds of millions of insect-like creatures, he can annihilate them all with a single breath. In ancient times, a group in the universe calling themselves the Golden Race appeared. They created star clusters and awakened immature species. 3 species responded to them: the technologically advanced Silver Race, the insect-like Bronze Race, and the individually powerful Hero Race. As the Golden Race prepared to leave this universe, the weak Iron Race humans were born. However, their home planet was overtaken by the Bronze Race, controlled by the Silver Race. At a critical moment of life and death, Princess Eunos of the Iron Race, bearing the fate of human survival, traveled in a spaceship to find their Hero Race warrior. However, the princess suffers from androphobia, feeling unwell whenever a man comes within 10 meters of her. So Captain Iolaus of the Guard was kept outside by her maid. Following the princess's directions, they detected a shattered planet where Age, the only human personally cultivated by the Golden Race, grew up alone. After the Golden Race departed, he survived on the only living octopus left. Such a large tentacle could feed him for at least a week. Age threw the tentacle into a processing machine, turning it into edible delicacies. He then began to worry if eating the octopus's tentacles too quickly would prevent them from growing back. Nevertheless, Age also knew gratitude and often fed the octopus to express his thanks. At that moment, Age suddenly felt an unusual fluctuation in the sky. It was Eunos' spaceship arriving. To ensure the princess's safety, all members of the defense team were deployed. The planet was covered in craters, and its atmosphere and sunlight barely met survival requirements. How could anyone live on such a desolate planet? Yet, the princess sensed some presence and directed the team. All units descended towards the surface. Age watched the spaceship above, knowing they were the people the Golden Race spoke of. His separation from the octopus was imminent. Then, the team received a signal from below. It was a spaceship. They landed beside it, but detected no life signs. They cautiously moved forward. The barren land was filled with saplings, suggesting habitation. They entered the spaceship, which seemed operational, and used their superpowers to repair the system. At that moment, the twin sisters Tail and Meru felt as if someone was tapping on their heads and saw Age staring at them. Startled, everyone dashed outside, where suddenly an unclothed man approached. Instinctively, they released a gravity ring to isolate Age, but he easily walked out, and even the scouting signal began to blur, as if something was protecting him. The princess sensed no hostility from him and decided to negotiate personally. They were guided by the Golden Race to find the person hosting the Hero Race soul here. They hoped Age could tell them where to find this individual. Age then introduced himself. He was the person they were looking for. Just then, the Iron Race's flagship detected a large number of objects approaching. It was the enemy, the Bronze Race. An urgent notification was sent to the princess. The flagship switched to combat mode, firing countless lasers at the Bronze Race. However, the insects' advantage lay in their numbers. Losing a few was insignificant to them. The princess urgently recalled her teammates and instructed Age to board the ship as well. However, Age looked at them puzzled, not understanding the urgency. Just then, a scout bug landed. Iolaus attacked and shattered the bug, but its signal had already been sent. A massive swarm of bugs descended on their location. Age's home was destroyed. He wanted to rush to check, but a giant bug emerged. The princess urged him to flee as the planet was about to fall. The Bronze Race was overwhelming in number, impossible to finish off, and some could even teleport. If they were slow, the airspace would be blocked. A bug crushed the spaceship with its body. Age was engulfed in the explosion's smoke. The defense team was also at a significant disadvantage. The only option was to evacuate the princess to an escape ship. However, the princess refused to leave. She felt a powerful fluctuation in the smoke. The next second, the bug was torn apart by a punch. A tall figure punched forward, and a violent wave of energy instantly obliterated the bugs in front. This was the true form of the Hero Race, capable of easily destroying a planet. As the swarm in the sky nearly engulfed the flagship, the system detected a massive energy surge below. It was Age, speeding into space and smashing through the energy shield into the swarm. The queen inside was still controlling the swarm. Suddenly, the flesh wall split open and was completely torn apart. The queen could only tremble in fear. Everyone watched as the entire hive split from the center, turning into fireworks in the cosmos. The insects began to flee the planet. The princess realized that this young man, Age, who housed the soul of the hero race, was humanity's only hope for returning to their mother planet. After landing, Age reverted to his human form. Yet, he stared at the destroyed spaceship, feeling homeless. The octopus comforted him from behind, and the princess and her subordinates collectively offered their condolences. But she did not forget her mission and invited Age to leave with them, fulfilling the contract set by the Golden Race. Age had been waiting for this day. He and the octopus reluctantly said goodbye and returned to the flagship with the princess. A welcome ceremony was held for him, but Age, unclothed, felt out of place. He was forcibly pushed onto the podium by a maid, and the soldiers, startled by his attire, were too afraid to upset a member of the hero race. Then, Age rushed to the princess's side. The princess, who had a fear of men, showed no adverse reaction to him. Onlookers who admired her were very upset. Age's purity of mind, including his lack of gender concepts, meant the princess did not feel repelled by him. The princess then stated that there were 12 contracts between Age and them, but Age had no concept of numbers. Moreover, he was hungry and dashed towards the smell of food. Iolaus tried to stop him instantly, but not only failed to catch him, but also caused chaos at the scene. Age grabbed some food and ran out. The entire Night Order mobilized but couldn't find him. Age relied solely on his sense of smell to navigate. He ended up in the indoor greenhouse, where both radishes and watermelons grew larger than humans. Excited, Age danced around and eventually fell asleep. He had lived alone on a deserted planet and had never seen so many green plants. The maids couldn't believe he was the savior, but the princess saw him without prejudice. Wasn't it their duty to teach Age? While he slept, they scanned his body. There were no signs of viruses or parasites. His brain activity was far higher than that of ordinary people. An inexplicable object fully integrated with his optic nerve was discovered in his right eye, likely a power of the hero race. However, the human leaders still doubted Age and were unsure whether bringing him back was right or wrong. Just then, Age suddenly woke from his sleep as the spaceship sounded an emergency alarm. They detected a special magnetic field and confirmed the approach of 5 insect hives. The commander ordered the activation of defense mode, but a malfunction was detected in Sector 5, exactly where Age was located. It turned out he had torn open the ship's inner wall and ventured into the vacuum. Age stared at the dense swarm of insects. Human weapons launched attacks, but the numbers were overwhelmingly against them, leaving their equipment doomed. The only option was to forcefully break through the blockade. At that moment, the princess's image appeared beside Age. Age claimed it was his father who instructed him to fight, referring to the Golden Race. Suddenly, Age's body emitted a blue light, and he transformed into his hero race form again. He easily shattered the insect's protective shield, and the dispersed energy annihilated the swarm. What kind of power is this? Iolaus was stunned. The princess's voice then transmitted, Age now knows his mission. According to the 12 contracts, he must see the contractor as master, serve without usurpation, help the Black Iron race reclaim Earth, defeat all other living hero races, conquer the Bronze races and Silver races' home planets, bring the Golden race's powers of foresight and star-making to humanity, and make humanity the dominators of the universe. He must protect the contractor at all costs and cannot flee or die before fulfilling these tasks. Once everything is over, under the premise of not violating the previous 11 clauses, humanity must fulfill the contractor's wishes. This is such an unfair treaty. It seems the Black Iron race is truly the Golden race's kin. After Age obliterated the insect army, the human leaders were elated upon learning about the contract. With such a powerful force, they could even win a battle against the gods. However, they could never have anticipated that all this was under the surveillance of the Silver race. They were once the most powerful race in the universe, but a loss of control over their power led to a prolonged civil war, causing catastrophic casualties and widespread destruction across the cosmos. Many races were on the brink of extinction. At this critical moment, the Golden Race, known as Gods, intervened to end the war. Only 5 members of the hero race survived, yet the Golden Race still chose to punish them by having them reside within weaker races. Those who hosted the souls of the hero race were called Nodos, beings who held the fate of the universe. The most powerful hero race member resided within a boy from the weakest Black Iron race, named Age. His mission was to help the Black Iron race reclaim Earth. However, recently discovered by humans, Age lacked common knowledge. The princess had to start teaching him from scratch, beginning with human history. A century ago, the Bronze race, under the Silver race, invaded Earth, their homeland, and they were determined to return at any cost. Age was now their only hope. Informed by the Golden race of his mission 100 years prior, he was committed to fulfilling it. Yet, He was as curious as a newborn, eager to explore the inside of the spaceship. The princess had the twins guide him. Meanwhile, the spaceship activated its hyperspace jump system. With 5 minutes remaining, they would reach the convergence coordinates of the path of stars. The captain ordered the activation of the space-time slicer, leaving a stunning trail of light in the cosmos. They were halfway to their destination, with potential dangers at any moment. All soldiers were ordered to remain combat-ready. Overwhelmed by so many novelties, Age wanted to experience everything. He opened a green paint can and began to play curiously, even painting Meiru's face with it. Tail thought she had escaped the mess, but the next second she looked just like her sister. The three then engaged in a wild paint battle, acting like untamed horses. Concerned that Age might lose control, the soldiers urgently sounded an alarm and sealed off the cargo hold. Anisha was very frustrated with the situation. They had hoped the sisters would enlighten Age, not join him in mischief. The trio was then taken to the bathhouse to wash off the paint. Since Age had no concept of gender, he followed them in, and they played again in the confined space. The human leadership was already troubled. Most feared Age's power and thought of him as a barbarian. Even simple pranks frightened them. The burden of educating Age fell on the maid Anayasha. She decided to change Age's appearance, hoping a neat look might encourage self-awareness. The first step was cutting his hair, which the princess likened to an octopus's tentacles capable of regrowth. Age agreed to a new hairstyle. Next, Anisha tried to get him into a new uniform, but he was more interested in painting. The princess then gave him a wall to paint on. However, this pleasant time was short-lived. The Silver Race had discovered their spaceship's route. Suddenly, the princess sensed a strong intent to kill. Someone was approaching them. The captain decided to employ evasive tactics, changing their destination to an unknown location. During the energy recharge, the spaceship's shields and weapons would be limited. Although their defenses were extremely weak, it made them harder to detect. The princess agreed to this plan. Yet, the Silver Race had already pinpointed their location. Suddenly, a massive disturbance arose within the path of stars, and the system detected the presence of the Bronze Race's swarm. Knowing he had to strike again, Age stepped outside the spaceship and charged towards the swarm in front. He quickly destroyed a swarm with ease. The captain couldn't just watch Age fight alone. He activated the spaceship's weapons to reduce the number of swarms as much as possible. The soldiers, piloting their mechs, launched a full assault, but their efficiency was somewhat slow. Age, on the other hand, could destroy a swarm with just one punch each time. However, the Silver Race had planned this encounter to test Age's strength. But before Age could act, Iolias intervened in their battle. Even with the most advanced weapons, he couldn't penetrate the Silver Race's shields, and was instantly defeated by their 3 energy chains. Just as he was about to be killed, Age grabbed the chains, broke them, and then punched the Silver Race member. Iolias finally realized the vast difference in their power. After driving off the enemy, Age returned to the cabin. Everyone stared at him excitedly, finally accepting him as their savior. This was indeed their hero. The spaceship then restarted and continued forward, with everyone feeling hopeful about the future. They had finally achieved a significant victory in their battle against the enemy.
5人目が現れた。
In a distant time and space, a group calling themselves the Gold Race appeared in the universe. They created star clusters and awakened other immature races. However, after the Gold Race left this universe, the Silver Race declared themselves their successors and dominated other races with highly advanced technology. They viewed the Iron Race as enemies and sought to completely eradicate humans. The entire universe became aware of this. The Iron Race found it difficult to move freely, but fortunately many planets remained neutral, providing supplies for payment. However, under the rule of the Silver Race, if they discovered a Nodos, they would still inform the Silver Race. Therefore, it was crucial to keep Age calm during stopovers, which was the hardest task. Age got overly excited whenever he encountered anything new. The only solution was to ask the princess to ensure he was well supervised. The twin sisters took Age to the princess's room. Initially, there were concerns the sisters might give Age strange things, but it seems they got along well. However, the spaceship was soon to arrive at the planet Tantalus for supplies. She hoped Age would stay quiet inside the ship, but Age did not understand why this was necessary. The maid explained that it was to avoid alarming the residents. Age, who harbored the soul of a heroic tribe, had saved the Iron Race many times and did not fear them, but others unaware of this might be frightened. Therefore, a cautious approach was the best plan. Age seemed thoughtful after hearing this. When Tantalus received the human docking request, they were puzzled. Destroying a spaceship was easy for the Silver Race, yet the humans arrived unharmed. Nevertheless, the officials approved their request. When the Iron Race's spaceship docked, they encountered a problem. The authorities wanted to inspect the ship. Agreeing to this would make hiding Age difficult. The princess then devised a plan to have Age hide on Tantalus, as long as he did not cause any disturbances, and to have Iolaus accompany him. Age was thrilled to learn he could go out, and he expressed his gratitude to Iolaus while changing into the soldier's uniform. However, Iolaus was not interested in interacting with him. The moment they teleported away, Tantalus's surveillance robots arrived. Meanwhile, on distant Earth, the other 4 heroes of the Silver Race's Nodos gathered. They were preparing to test the 5th member, Age. They knew Age belonged to the Iron Race and was their adversary. If they could not persuade him to join them, they would force him to submit through violence. If that failed, they saw no need to let him live. Karkanos was assigned to approach Age. The Silver Race had already ordered Tantalus to unconditionally detain the Iron Race's spaceship. Although Tantalus's officials wanted to refuse, as they had always maintained neutrality, the Silver Race did not regard them as equals. Kar arrived at Tantalus. The princess sensed his presence and informed the captain. The identity of the newcomer was unclear, but she felt a sense of foreboding. More machines filled the spaceship as Tantalus took control, likely under Silver Race's orders. The princess considered calling Age back for a forceful breakout, but she wanted to negotiate first, considering Tantalus might be coerced. Unaware of these developments, Age was wandering around with Iolaus. He asked Iolaus if he was afraid of him. Noting that everyone said it would be better if he were not on the ship, Age liked them regardless. But before he could finish speaking, Iolaus received a distress signal. Age sensed Kar's location. The princess and the officer had finished negotiating. She understood Tantalus's dilemma, but was determined not to surrender the ship. They would take their hope back, even if it meant death. The officer seemed to understand something. Despite the Silver Race's coercive orders, facing the heroes would be futile. He decided to let the Iron Race depart, and this threatening conversation provided a reason to explain to the Silver Race later. Meanwhile, Age officially met with Kar. Kar invited him to return together, arguing that as Nodos, they should not fight each other. However, the Gold Race had told Age he must defeat 4 individuals. Kar seemed contemplative, but Age initiated the attack. Kar defended himself, constantly dodging Age's attacks and even distancing himself from him. The princess watched their battle from afar. Just then, the Silver Race sensed their presence. 5 insect tombs surrounded Tantalus, making them the Silver Race's discarded pawns simply because they had not kept the human spaceship. Rather than accept destruction along with their subordinates, Tantalus resisted. The escort fleet moved above the spaceport's defenses, preparing to confront the large insect army. However, the main pressure was still from the humans, whose missiles were ready. At the captain's command, they launched all missiles. Yet, as subordinates of the Silver Race, the Bronze Race's defenses were too strong for conventional heavy firepower. The attacks not only failed to penetrate their protective shields, but were also reflected back. Eventually, Tantalus's structures were heavily damaged. The captain instructed the soldiers to prepare for hand-to-hand combat, and small assault boats were ready to launch in a desperate final effort. Iolaus also returned to the inside of the spaceship. As a team leader, he could not miss any battle. However, the princess was puzzled. Why was Age so obsessed with fighting? He relentlessly pursued Kar without shifting into his hero tribe form. It seemed Kar was stronger, but he had no intention to fight. Yet, Age was focused solely on defeating him. Kar spun, causing Age to fall onto the ice. At the same time, Kar released a purple gas. Age leapt into the air, but the gas turned into a poison dragon that grazed him. The other 3 heroes on Earth were shocked. This move could melt planets, yet it only slightly scratched Age. Kar continued to invite Age, who clearly would not agree. Therefore, Kar decided to transform right there. Seeing this, Age also transformed into his hero tribe form. To avoid damaging the planet, Age attempted to fly into space, but Kar instantly appeared beside him and slammed him into the ground. Kar then dove down towards Age, releasing a gas that even corroded mountains. Age, feeling intense pain, punched Kar away. The battle between hero tribes could potentially destroy the galaxy. The leader of Tantalus was terrified. The other 3 hero tribes did not understand what Kar was doing. Age was their enemy. They could just bury him along with the planet. Meanwhile, the insect army was nearing the spaceship. Tantalus's spaceship was being destroyed one by one, and their weapons corroded by the insects. Their comrades were at a disadvantage, many soldiers seriously injured. Just then, an insect tomb appeared suddenly in front of the spaceship, about to engulf it. Age, realizing their predicament, left Kar and rushed into space. Despite his small size compared to the insect tomb, he shattered it instantly with his body. Carr followed, and the next second, they collided fiercely, creating a powerful shockwave. Age then unleashed a major attack, turning nearby insects into energy absorbed into his body. He then fired an energy blast from his mouth, clearing a huge path for the fleet. Seizing this moment could allow the humans to evacuate safely. At that moment, Tantalus also realized that regardless of the opponent, they had the right to self-defense. Living under the rule of the Silver Race, they could not ensure the prosperity of their race. It was better to take this opportunity to aid the Black Iron race by not only withdrawing all deployments, but also actively clearing a path for them. At that moment, Carr also unleashed a powerful attack, rushing forward to embrace Age, and enveloping them both in poison gas, intending to strangle Age. Following the orders of the Silver Tribe, 2 Bronze Tribe warships attacked the battlefield, revealing their true strength. 2 lasers struck the Black Iron Tribe, reducing Tantalus's weapons to ashes and shredding the human ship's hull. The system registered massive damage, with operational capability dropping by 70%. The captain ordered evasive maneuvers. Age, sensing the human crisis, released all his power, and with Carr charged at the Bronze Tribe. He then threw Carr at one of their warships. Meanwhile, the human ship's rear thrusters fired, slightly tilting the ship upward, but it was too late. The enemy's other warship had completed charging. In a critical moment, Age blocked the attack path. After dealing with the warship, Age was still not satisfied. He punched towards the location of the Silver Tribe, who luckily dodged just in time to avoid the blow. Now the only enemy left was Carr, but Yudi from Earth ordered Carr to retreat. After the battle, Age transformed into his human form. The captain finally breathed a sigh of relief. The enemy had no intention of fighting to the death this time. It seemed they were just testing their strength. However, the battle between the hero tribes had far exceeded their imagination, and they had no chance of participating. Age initially led the humans to drive away the Silver Tribe, but their spaceship was also severely damaged. They decided to stay put for a while to regroup. Tantalus, being a battlefield for hero tribes, was left in disarray. Fortunately, they were not blamed by the Silver Tribe. The battle became news across the galaxy, and humans were now seen as the hope of the universe, especially by those threatened by the Silver Tribe. However, Age, who gave them courage, was completely focused on his graffiti. After 5 hours, the appearance of a princess projection ended his painting session because the spaceship had been repaired. It was time to leave. Meanwhile, on Earth, Carr was reprimanded by Yudi. Carr explained he did not want the planet to be destroyed in their conflicts. Yudi considered Tantalus an inferior race and of no concern. But that planet was an important hub for the Silver Tribe, and no one could create star clusters like the Gold Tribe. Therefore, the Silver Tribe decided not to hold Tantalus accountable. However, next time, Mehitak, who represents light, would go. Carr was unhappy with this, as he wanted to finish the mission himself. Yet, Yudi decided they should work together, with Mehitak tasked with destroying the spaceship, and Carr with eliminating Age. At this moment, humans faced a dilemma. All the planetary hubs they could contact refused them entry, fearing the Silver Tribe. Now, they could only wander in space. The captain thought they should reveal the existence of Nodos to force others to assist. The princess rejected this plan, arguing they should not force other important star clusters to make sacrifices just for themselves. They could leave the star path, trusting the guidance of the star clusters to find a new direction. The twins worried about getting lost in space, but Age encouraged them to trust the princess. Iolaus was indeed the most obedient to the princess, but it was her decision, and she needed the consent of everyone on the ship. For the freedom and survival of humanity, there was no reason to oppose. Everyone was energized, and Age became well integrated with the group. The Silver Tribe was still capturing human signals, preventing them from taking Age further away. Sensing their hostility, the princess put the entire ship on emergency combat readiness. The bug nest was just one hyperspace jump away from the spaceship, and there were 30 of them. Clearly, the Bronze Tribe knew they were isolated and planned to capture them all at once. To make matters worse, an asteroid belt lay ahead, known as the Graveyard of the Universe. Following the captain's order, the ship headed straight into the asteroid belt. The combat plan was to avoid fighting as much as possible, disrupt the enemy's sight, and seize the chance to escape. Everyone focused on how to survive and return home. Suddenly, the sisters couldn't find Age. It turned out that Age had already gone outside the spaceship. The number of enemies this time was beyond imagination, truly a moment for a desperate fight. Fortunately, the individual combat strength of the bugs was weak. Using floating meteorites, the soldiers could still eliminate them. However, the real challenge was still the hero tribe. Age sensed that Car would come, and this time there was another. Upon hearing this, the princess fell silent. It was her decision that had led everyone into this crisis. But Age reassured her that her decision was right, as the Golden Tribe had said the same. He just needed to earnestly follow the princess's instructions. He took on the task of clearing the path, while the princess only needed to stay focused on the direction forward. Age's figure disappeared into the bug nest. His powerful force allowed him to ignore the bug's attacks, and with just one punch, he broke through the entire protective membrane of the bug nest. The spaceship detected that the enemy forces on the planned route had been crushed. Now was the perfect time to retreat. The battlefield was left to Age. Whether it was asteroids or bug nests, he destroyed each with a single punch. However, in the next moment, Car blocked his path. This was his final invitation to Age, but Age responded with his fist. The two collided in the graveyard of the universe. The captain warned his crew not to enter their battle zone. Their speeds exceeded that of light. Age controlled his limbs to stretch and grab asteroids to smash at Car. Car released a corrosive gas that eroded the asteroids and enveloped Age in a spreading, toxic cloud. Inside, Car gained strength. Age struggled to see Car's movements, so he charged out of the gas with Car to lure the enemy away. Meanwhile, Mehitak had been hiding nearby. As he hesitated to intervene, Yudi suddenly appeared, ordering him to destroy the human spaceship. Mehitak was reluctant at heart. Although he had destroyed many species, it was an instinct after transformation. His true desire was for peace. On another front, the hero tribe's Lekti found Prome. She wanted to understand the constraints of their contract. Did the Golden Tribe also foresee this battle? Were their people required to act as hostages in the contract? What was the purpose of such an arrangement? The Bronze Tribe is always expendable. Countless swarms of bugs attack first, and all human soldiers respond. Despite this, the enemy will soon breach the rear defenses. The only solution is to abandon the second line of defense and concentrate all forces on the first line. Fortunately, with high-tech mechs, they can handle the lower-level bugs. However, the sheer number of bugs is overwhelming, and they even start using suicide attacks. Aeolus gets entangled by bugs, but luckily, he has the ability to teleport and shoots the bugs dead. If they can't handle such enemies, it would be a disservice to Age, who is holding Car at bay. Their fight is devastating. Car, skilled in using poison, attacks from a distance, which is tricky for Age, who excels in close combat. Every time he tries to close the distance, he is pushed back by intense poison gas, leading to a stalemate. Exactly what Yudi wants. While Car keeps Age busy, Yudi continuously provokes Mehitak. To end the battle quickly, he urges Mehitak to join the fight and destroy the Black Iron Tribe's spaceship. Though inherently good, Mehitak commits evil acts, making him a tragic figure. Sensing trouble, the princess orders the spaceship to slow down immediately, and all Vanguard units return. Age senses Mehitak's power and tries to leave, but is blocked by Car. Suddenly, a massive energy surge occurs above the battlefield, a wave caused by Mehitak's transformation. He represents light and can penetrate any hard object. If humans are hit directly by this strike, survival is impossible. The princess orders the activation of the turbo engines, which will completely drain the spaceship's energy. However, this is their only chance given the current situation. Mehitak flies into the bug nests to gather energy. All humans return to the spaceship, waiting for the final moment. There are 2 minutes left until the engines are fully charged. Knowing time is critical, Age uses all his strength to throw Car away. By then, Mehitak has finished charging, and a thick laser beam shoots straight at the spaceship. Just in the nick of time, Age flies at the speed of light to shield the humans. He is their beacon of hope. With a roar, he bursts a massive energy ball, and the scattering rays instantly devour the Bronze Tribe and nearly shatter the Silver Tribe's spaceship. Their plan fails once again. The princess asks Age to leave with them, but he remains unmoved, as his enemy has not yet given up. Car follows, and Age has to buy more time for the humans. Luckily, the spaceship finishes charging and teleports away from the battlefield. Fortune has not abandoned them. The teleportation location is still on the path of the stars. The humans narrowly escape once more. Yet, Aeolus cannot feel happy. They have left Age behind again. He always fights alone, and there is no time for sorrow as the spaceship's alarms sound again. A bug nest has appeared in satellite orbit. The captain is anxious as there is no energy to create a distance, and a massive mass reaction looms ahead, a huge satellite fortress. However, their attack does not seem to be targeting them. It turns out they are from the Black Iron tribe, who have arrived at the human-occupied planet, also known as the Land of Death. 3 commanders have already died in this star system. Nefer is the current commander here. The captain and she attended the same military academy, but their lives have been extremely tough, with even supplies being unattainable. It's uncertain how long the remaining energy will last. Originally, they could not assist the princess. However, recently the enemy forces suddenly left this star region, and humans found their hero tribe. Therefore, they are willing to abandon this planet to provide support and escort for the princess. Age is undoubtedly the strongest hero in single combat. He has been fighting Kar for 200 hours, flattening the cosmic graveyard with their battle. Yet Age grows stronger, punching through Kar's body. But Kar, symbolizing life, can heal by absorbing surrounding energy. Seeing this, Age charges again, grabbing Kar and smashing him into a distant planet. Then, Age reverts to human form, weary from the long fight. Kar, too, struggles and even feels fear upon seeing Age again, but he must confront the challenge. They transform and clash again. Meanwhile, the princess has led her spaceship away. Commander Nefer covers their retreat as the Silver Tribe with their bug nests pursue. Yudi orders Mehitak to take out Nefer's fleet. Nefer commands all guns to aim forward. Yudi observes the battlefield, her resolve wavering, not over the Bronze Tribe's sacrifices, but fearing Kar might be killed by Age. Moreover, Mehitak is reluctant to fight, his heart crying, yet bound by the contract. Lekti understands, but cannot fathom why the Golden Tribe imposed such contracts. What do their battles bring to the universe? Suddenly, Nefer's fleet detects a massive energy reaction. They fire their superweapon at Mehitak's location with full force. But Mehitak seems transparent, and the shots pass right through him. Seeing this, Nefer orders the core engine to be maxed out to create a gravitational field. Light converges around Mehitak, and after synchronization, all weapons fire again, finally hitting Mehitak's body. The Silver Tribe suddenly realizes the princess's spaceship is not here. Nefer's fleet is merely buying time, and they have now restrained Mehitak, forcing him to enter attack mode. Soldiers notice the energy change around him, directing 80% of their firepower at Mehitak. However, Mehitak's power now exceeds the core protective layer's limit. They cannot stop him. Despite this, Nefer orders to continue targeting him. All ships fire together, but to no avail. Instead, Mehitak's attack becomes even more terrifying, destroying a planetary fortress with a single strike. Just as Age is about to end Kar's life, he pauses, sensing this disturbance. Kar takes the opportunity to release a massive amount of poison gas. 3 poison dragons burst from the ground, slamming Age against a cliff. After the smoke clears, 5 more poison dragons emerge. This is Kar's ultimate move, but its weakness is clear: capture Kar's body. So Age prepares to tear off his right arm. Yuti realizes Kar is truly in danger now. Elsewhere, Mehitak completely destroys a planet. The explosion's debris devastates much of Nefer's fleet, severely damaging the core. Over 60% of the ships lose contact. Nefer orders all fleets to take cover behind the satellite fortress. The gravitational magnetic field remains synchronized with Mehitak. They must maintain this state to hold him back, even if just for 1 extra second before the planet collapses. If they let him go, previous sacrifices would be in vain. The soldiers are all willing to gamble their lives with their commander. However, just then, Mehitak senses that Kar's energy is weakening. He reverts to human form, apologizes for the destruction of the planet, and then transforms back into a hero to leave the area. He needs to go help Kar. At the same time, the princess finds a new direction to move forward. They prepare to set sail again, but also decide to send their route to Nefer. The destruction of the Hilgot planet means that their ship now serves as their guide, as they have lost their way among the stars. However, the next moment, the Silver Tribe's spaceship appears above them and launches an attack. The ship activates its shields, but due to preparations for a space jump, the shield's energy supply is insufficient. Just as the shields are about to be breached by chains, the princess's projection flies over. She launches a psychic attack on Faith, infusing him with human emotions and successfully driving him back. This is the first time Faith has experienced an outsider's emotions, and the attack leaves the princess unconscious. At this moment, Kar is like a lamb to the slaughter, his attacks completely ineffective. Age furiously assaults his face, smashing him into the ground with a punch. Despite this, Age does not stop, gathering all his strength to strike Kar's body. The entire planet trembles violently. Kar is beaten back into human form, lifeless. In the final moments, Mehitak arrives to retrieve Kar and confronts Age. After a moment, Mehitak turns and leaves, and Age does not stop him. On the other side, The princess, having invaded the consciousness of the Silver Tribe, falls into a deep unconscious sleep. The entire Black Iron Tribe, without their guiding figure, must rely on their own intuition to move forward. Fortunately, the Goddess of Luck has not abandoned them. The spaceship suddenly receives an unknown signal, a path through the stars leading to the human habitation zone. They can finally go home. Nefer's fleet follows them, and the captain breathes a sigh of relief. Although everyone is still on edge, they are essentially safe. However, there remains a major problem. Age did not return with them, and the aftermath of the battle is devastating. Less than a quarter of the people survived, and those with bodies are considered lucky. Many warriors will forever drift in the cold cosmos, the same fate befalling the heroes. Kar is taken back by Mehitak, but remains unconscious. Overwhelmed by sorrow, the princess's soul wanders the cosmos until a giant hand envelops her. It's Age who has found her. This reignites her fighting spirit, and she orders the spaceship to depart immediately. Age will join them, transforming into a blue light that streaks across the cosmos, reaching humanity's temporary home ahead of the fleet. However, the princess's brother, also a human leader and a fool driven by utilitarian motives, takes Age from her under the guise of greater good, turning him into a war machine and preemptively declaring war on the Silver Tribe. He never participates in any battle himself, leaving Age to fight alone at the front. But the Silver Tribe, anticipating their moves, has filled the entire solar system with the Bronze Tribe's armies. Humanity is about to face its greatest crisis in history. The dense swarm of the insect army is terrifying, yet humans sent Age to fight alone. Although it was not much for him, under the control of the Silver Tribe, half of the insects bypassed Age and directly attacked the human warships. All human warships were destroyed. Even the headquarters was affected. Commanders immediately ordered a retreat, leaving Age alone at the center of the battlefield. Age tirelessly fought the insects, but humans considered abandoning him. Even Kar could not bear to watch. How could they so easily forsake someone fighting for them, especially when the situation was caused by the Bronze Tribe's recklessness? Some with a conscience could not reach Age, as he was frenzied, killing hundreds of thousands of insects with a single punch. No enemy attack could stop his advance. On the other side, the prince made another foolish decision, attempting to ignite Jupiter with the main cannon. He thought this would damage the Silver Tribe's formidable ships, without considering if their own warships could withstand it. Nefer tried to stop him but was dismissed by the prince. The soldiers and Age fighting at the front were unaware that their own people were about to fire at them. A laser beam shot straight towards a satellite, causing the residing Bronze Tribe to scatter. The satellite began to fall, crashing onto Jupiter and igniting a massive explosion. The prince smiled smugly. Kar realized why the Silver Tribe wanted to destroy humanity. Faith hurriedly ordered the troops to turn back, but Age and the entire Bronze Tribe were sucked into the inferno. The prince, still smug on his spaceship, ordered a reformation to prepare for an assault. However, the Silver Tribe had already devised a countermeasure. They linked their ships and the swarm of insects, forming a massive protective net that pushed back the intense flames. Jupiter's structure became chaotic, leading to a massive explosion that instantly devoured everything around it, turning Jupiter into a footnote in cosmic history. Unbelievably, Age survived the explosion. Kar, frustrated yet impressed, charged into battle for the dishonorable Black Iron Tribe, becoming a heroic figure. The Silver Tribe had a plan ready for Age, intending to outnumber him.